Hey everyone, I'm Gonzo.
And I'm Mark.
Welcome to Dungeon Class. Today we're going to talk about how to use classic modules in 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah. All right.
Mark, look at this. Look at this pile of stuff we have.
Yummy. Good stuff right here. So this is what they called modules back in the day.
Yeah, these were adventures for D&D players.
So for people who don't know what a module is, well, what's a module?
So when the rules came out, you had your player's handbook, you had your monster manual, you had your dungeon master's guide. But people said, what do we do next? And D&D was ready for them. At the same time, they were releasing adventures, what we call adventures now, but they had them in modular form.
Yeah.
So they called them modules, and they even started putting numbers and additions, so there was a series of them, so you could follow a storyline from maybe like Against the Giants or something like that, where it started in one area and went on to the next and that kind of thing. So each of these are just old school. I mean, how old are these? 38 years old. This was 1981, 82.
Yeah.
Old school adventures, and they came with everything that our hardback adventures come with now.
Right.
They came with maps. I mean, that's an awesome one. I don't even know if it's visible, but
yeah. The map. Yeah. So this is a map inside, and we were talking earlier about this. It's blue.
Yeah. Why is it blue?
The reason it's blue is because back in the day they had a thing called a Xerox machine, and you could take it to the Xerox machine. You could Xerox this, and then if you wanted to, give it to the players, and they wouldn't have all the grid lines on here. But as a DM, you want to kind of know where they are in space. So the DM still has the lines. The players wouldn't have the lines.
That's a lot of good information that I never knew.
It's super important to know that. Yeah.
No,
useless information, but that's
right. They had everything in there. They had the storyline, and then they had each room mapped out for you with what's in the room, and even little blocks that you would read to the players of what you would, what they see when they walk in initially. And so you knew from the treasure to the monster to the trap where everything was. And these were pretty useful, and this is what we did. We created characters, and we went through these very grueling modules, adventures, and tried to survive. It was almost a game of survival back then.
Yeah, I loved going to Walden Books and looking at these, looking through these, because we didn't have game stores around here in our place. But comics places we had, but for our games, we kind of had to go to Walden Books or something. Anyway, so modules are the adventures. All right, so let's say it's 5th edition. Now, what if someone has all these laying around?
Yeah.
I want to play it now. I feel like these are collecting dust. How can I use this now?
Well, you obviously have to convert, because the rules have changed, and the way that we even roll for armor class, everything's changed. So you have
to convert to the 5th edition religion?
No, you have to convert these to 5th edition stats.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So that they'll work.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly, so that they'll work. But you don't like math, I don't like math.
Oh, no.
And that a lot of this work has been done for you, believe it or not. Now, we've been blessed by Wizards of the Coast to have some of the most classic adventures already converted for us. In Tales of the Yawning Portal, in Ghost of Saltmarsh. They even show you in Ghost of Saltmarsh where the original module adventure that they came, where they got the story from. They converted it for us. Kept the basic bones of the story, and then made it 5th edition
style. So this one's got like what, 3 or 4 or 5 modules converted, maybe?
I don't know for sure. We haven't even started this one yet.
This one maybe has
like 7 or 8, including Tomb of Horrors. Against the Giants is in there.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, it's a pretty good value, and it's really nice to be able to just have it. And if you really want to run it exactly the way it was, you could do that. You could literally just run it straight the way it used to be from both of these. Or what about those that aren't converted in these? Where would they get those?
DM's Guild, Drive Through RPG. It's a website that almost most players at this point are aware of. You can find all kinds of adventures created by the whole people in the whole world that their whole job is just to have fun creating adventures, and then they publish them to DM's Guild.
You could do that. I mean, you could create your own and sell it on there. It's kind of what it's like. But it's great content. We highly recommend it. But they also have some of this stuff on there converted into 5th edition for you, so it's nice and handy. So if it's not in these books, you can find it on DM's Guide.
Yeah, that's really key. And that's if you're not trying to play what they call the old school game. If you're not playing within those rule sets and you're trying to play in a 5th edition rule set, but you still want to use these adventures, that's a great place to go. They already have each of these converted for you,
right?
And you just download it, the PDF. You can pull out what you need, especially if you happen to have one. It's really neat because you have all you have all the maps and all the cool stuff that came with the hardback copy, but you have the conversion done for you. So that's really neat.
So you want to use it in 5th edition. Okay, I just want it to be like it was in the old days. However,
how was D&D in the old days?
Well, back in the days, it was basically, you kind of felt like it was the DM versus the players. I mean, honestly, you felt like the DM story took precedent over the player story, and it was sometimes it was a straight up grind fest. You look at Tomb of Horrors. I mean, it literally was DM versus the players. That was the way it was designed. We've talked about that in one of our other videos. If you haven't seen it already, when we played Tomb of Horrors, there's a link in the description. We'll put it up here as well. When we played Tomb of Horrors, but that was literally designed to DM versus the players. It is what it is, and that's kind of what it was. Times have changed.
It's not that way anymore.
No, it isn't. It isn't. In fact, today it's more that the DM and the players are co-creators of the story. That's been kind of the philosophy.
Right.
It's a paradigm shift, is what it is. So that's, and the other thing is, players today, video game players, you hear them cry all the time, like, we don't want a game on rails. We don't want to feel like we're on a ride and we're being taken wherever you want us to go. We want it to be more sandboxy, that we have more choices. And 5th edition D&D really kind of gives us that. So I think that's what's really neat. And so that's kind of the problem of doing these straight out. But these aren't they're not without value, right?
No, there's tons of good stuff in there. And I think that the way you and I have basically DM'd or become dungeon masters, and what we've done in our groups and the campaigns is that we've taken, borrowed, stole, broken to the bank.
Yeah, whatever it takes, man.
You do whatever you need to do to
Absolutely.
grab an idea from something. Yeah. But we've taken these, because they're already kind of set in the same world and everything, and converted them using the bones of it and converting it into an adventure that we'd be happy to run with the players. And
so you take some of maybe the basic story elements out of it. I know I like to collect trap ideas for my players. There's these were trap heavy back in the day. Back in the days where you took a 10-foot pole and you smacked the ground to see if there were any traps. I mean, it was really crazy like that. But lots of traps. There's some great monsters in here. There's some great encounter ideas.
And there's good stories too. We're not saying that these aren't story filled and that if you're playing these as is that you won't have fun.
Right.
But I do want to, this is for those that are looking to maybe either delve into the old school world and see what some of these are about. Excuse me. Or they have these and they want to, they have a group of players that want to be playing 5th edition and not as interested in playing with the old rules.
Right.
I think that this would be the best way to do it. But creating, using pre-made adventures, we've talked about this before, but there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, I would suggest that you do use pre-made adventures / storylines for your idea, if nothing else.
Right.
Now, we're going to do separate videos, and we can talk about creating from top down your whole world, right? From your whole campaign setting. I know that we get a lot of comments in the chat and in our live streams. People want to know how to do that, but this isn't that. This is using something that's already done for you and then taking the best parts of it that'll fit you and your group and making it work for you.
Speaking of making it work for you, if you want some more content, 5th edition content, want to make sure that you subscribe. Want to make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications bell, and we deliver. We have a lot of ideas to help you play 5th edition D&D with your family and your friends. So be sure and do that. And if you have any comments below, like if you've ever used old content before, we'd love to hear how that went for you. Or if you have any ideas of how to best use these in 5th edition, if you got some other ideas, please comment below. We'd like to hear that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's all we have time for today, Gonzo. And with that,
class dismissed.